You know that person who never posts anything? Maybe they're in your friend group. Maybe they're a coworker who you're pretty sure has an account, but you've never seen them share anything. Maybe that person is you. While everyone else is uploading stories, sharing updates, documenting every coffee run and vacation sunset, they're just quiet. Their last post was 8 months ago, maybe longer. And while you might assume they're shy, anxious, or hiding from something, there's a real chance they've figured out something the rest of us are still struggling to understand. The less you need to prove your life is happening, the more you actually get to live it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you opened your camera to take a photo, started typing out a caption, maybe found the perfect filter, and then just stopped? You looked at it for a moment, deleted a word, retyped it, stared at the screen, then deleted the whole thing and closed the app without posting. What happened in that moment? I'll tell you exactly what happened. Your brain started running a calculation you never consciously asked for. It started asking questions you didn't want to answer. Will this get enough likes to feel worth it? Does this make me look interesting or like I'm trying too hard? Is my life impressive enough to share with 400 people I haven't spoken to since high school? What if someone screenshots this and laughs about it later? What if nobody engages at all? That pause between wanting to share and deciding not to, that's your nervous system running a threat assessment on something that's supposed to be casual. And for some people, that pause stretched out so many times that they stopped playing altogether. Not because they couldn't keep up, but because they finally saw the game for what it really was. There's a sociologist named Erving Goffman who developed something called dramaturgical analysis. Fancy term, simple idea. He said that in everyday life, we're all performers. We constantly adjust how we speak, how we present ourselves, what we reveal and hide, based on who's watching. We wear different masks for different audiences. And that's not deception. That's just being human. But here's what Goffman couldn't have imagined. Social media took that stage and made it infinite. It made the audience permanent. It made the performance recordable, searchable, forever. Now you're not managing impressions for 10 people at a dinner party. You're performing for everyone you've ever known, plus strangers, plus algorithms that decide if your performance was engaging enough to be seen. And unlike real life, the internet remembers. One awkward post from 2016 can resurface and define you all over again. People who don't post have made a quiet decision. They've stepped off the stage entirely, not because they're scared of being seen, but because they realized something uncomfortable. The audience wasn't really paying attention. They were too busy rehearsing their own performance. Studies suggest that around 40 to 50% of social media users are passive. They scroll, they watch, they consume, but they rarely post anything themselves. For years, researchers called them lurkers, which sounds almost predatory, like they're hiding in dark corners. But recent research tells a different story. Studies in psychology journals have found that many passive users actually score higher on self-concept clarity. They know who they are. Their identity is stable. And because of that internal clarity, they don't need external validation to feel okay. The likes aren't medicine they require. They're just noise they've learned to ignore. So if you've ever felt weird about not wanting to post, hear this. Your brain isn't broken. It might actually be protecting you. Think about the people in your life who never share anything online, your actual close friends. When you're with them, are they insecure, withdrawn, disconnected? Usually they're the opposite. They're present. They ask follow-up questions. They remember something you mentioned weeks ago. Because when they're with you, they're not mentally drafting a caption. They're not thinking about angles. They're just there. And that kind of presence is becoming genuinely rare. There's another concept that helps explain this. It's called the looking glass self, developed by Charles Cooley over 100 years ago. The theory suggests we form our identity based on how we imagine others see us. We look at their reactions and use those reflections to construct who we think we are. Social media supercharged this beyond anything Cooley predicted. Now, the mirror isn't one trusted friend's face. It's a feed of metrics, hearts, comments, silence. Every time you post, you're handing that mirror to strangers and asking them to tell you who you are. People who don't post have stopped looking into that mirror. They've started building their sense of self from the inside. And that shift changes everything about how stable you feel. If you're watching this and something is clicking, drop a comment below. Tell me if you're someone who doesn't post, or if you've noticed this in someone close to you. I want to know. Here's what most people completely miss about this. Not posting isn't passive. It's not laziness or avoidance. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your reaction, your content, your hot take on everything happening everywhere, choosing to stay quiet is an act of defiance. And defiance is power. These people have figured out something that took the rest of us years to even question. The algorithm doesn't care about your well-being. It cares about engagement. And engagement is often driven by comparison, envy, outrage, and the desperate need to be seen. Opting out isn't missing the party. It's realizing the party was charging admission to your peace of mind. Think about the moments in your life that actually mattered. The conversation at 2 in the morning that changed how you see the world. The trip you still think about years later. The time someone said something that made you cry in the best way. Were any of those posted? Hashtagged? Filtered? The most important parts of life almost always happen off camera. And people who don't post understand this instinctively. They're not missing out. They're protecting the moments that matter by refusing to turn them into content. Psychologists distinguish between 2 types of self-awareness. Public self-consciousness worries about appearances and perceptions. Private self-consciousness reflects on your actual thoughts and values without filtering them through what others might think. People who don't post lean heavily toward private self-awareness. That doesn't make them antisocial or disconnected. It makes them grounded. Their sense of self doesn't collapse when a post flops or when a story gets 0 views. They've built something sturdier beneath the surface, something that doesn't depend on feedback from people who wouldn't notice if they disappeared tomorrow. Here's the paradox nobody talks about. Social media promised connection, community, belonging, and for some, it delivered. But for many, it created something else entirely, a performance economy where authenticity became a branding strategy and silence became suspicious, where not sharing your life made people wonder what you were hiding. The people who don't post aren't rejecting connection, they're rejecting the terms. They're saying, I'll be known, but by people who actually know me. I'll share my life, but not for applause from strangers. I'll connect, but in rooms, not feeds. On my terms, in real time, without rehearsing. Maybe that's not withdrawal. Maybe that's the most honest form of presence left. So here's what I want you to think about. What if the people who never post aren't missing out on anything at all? What if they're not hiding from life, but choosing how to live it? What if their silence isn't emptiness, but fullness? A life so complete, it doesn't need to be performed to feel real. Because at the end of the day, nobody lies on their deathbed wishing they had posted more, but plenty of people wish they had been more present for the life happening right in front of them. The quiet ones aren't avoiding the world, they're just living in the parts of it that no camera can reach. If this resonated with you, please hit subscribe. I make videos like this every week exploring the hidden psychology behind everyday behaviors. And if you've ever felt like you see the world differently than most people around you, like maybe your mind works in ways others don't quite understand, watch this video next. It's about the psychology of people who feel like outsiders, and I think you'll find yourself in it. I'll see you there.